drafting can be tricky, but here we are. So, where do I get to? I've got some sea painting to do. I've got some nice wood decking looking pretty good here. I've got the mast looking pretty good. It still looks a little bit plasticky, so I can see if I can try and add something to that maybe. And it's still looking a little bit plasticky blue on the top, so I'm going to try and do another coat on that. I never undercoated this little piece, so I can probably get that done tonight. And the ship's looking pretty good, but I think it just needs a little bit more colour on the variation on the wood, and the little front piece, the character or statue needs to be added to. So I wonder whether I make a specific, like a metal colour or a silver, or like almost like a pearl type looking colour. So I'm looking at the water. The first coat of blue, I can see little bits of blue, but it is still very black, so I'm going to get a very light blue. Actually, I might go cyan. I think I started with a cobalt. So we'll go a little bit lighter with the cyan, and we'll see how this goes. So this, just as a recap, is the Anko paint from Kmart here in New Zealand. So this one's got 48 colours and they're all 30 mils. I did find that the copper, I think, was a bit sparkly almost. So we won't use that. I've got the burnt sienna for the wood. So we will add some blue. So we've got a bit of shaking up. I'm going to try some more of these colours from this paint set I got. If it's not working out, I've got some other Anko, which is still Kmart, acrylic paints in these little tubes. That worked really well for this project. So this is the sort of colour scheme I'm trying to go for this water. So we're going to see if I can get there. And I want a lot of paint, a lot of blue, should I say, on the water. So we're going to just get in there, heaps of blue, and I want it to be more blue on this water, because it's looking quite not blue, quite dark. So I think I just need to keep layering it up, getting lots of paint on there. I need to be careful because I don't want to get it up on the wood, because I've sort of already covered that. But I want to get a good coat on this water, so it's, I suppose it can be like a deep ocean colour essentially. So we want to get it. I'm just wanting thick paint, good colour, so I haven't watered this down. I've just a little bit of water on the brush to get me started. I've obviously chosen the cobalt blue. Yeah, weird. once it's got a nice blue on there, I'll start adding some sort of waves and wake to the little ridges and get it looking like the ship's moving through the water. Right now, just getting this as blue as I can. And really get it looking like the sea, essentially. Because I'm picturing this ships going through the deep sea. I haven't made it too light, so it's not like a, what do you call it, like a Caribbean or anything. I think it's like more of a deep ocean. And I'm sort of just using the direction of the waves for the strokes of the brush, so it just keeps the same sort of direction, because it's sort of getting pushed through the water, pushing up this wave at the front and giving it a look that it's moving. And this is going on pretty quick. Sort of want to get the ocean water done, and then so like this can dry. Maybe get another coat of something on this wood tonight, because I can see the end in sight. So once this water's done and a couple of details on the ship, it should be pretty much playable. So I'm just giving so it's undercoated in sort of like a dark grey with the sealant of Mod Podge. So that's why it's so dark, but I want to sort of lighten it up with the blue and get this ocean looking effect. It's looking far bluer than it was before, but I think it's going to dry quite dark again. But that's cool, so it's going to sort of lighten little bits and keep dark in the sort of deeper areas. So this isn't a dry brush or anything, it's just to get colour on here because it didn't have any real blue to it before. Sort of just like a really mellow black. So I want to get as much colour on here as I can. Get it all through those gaps, and sort of like the strokes of the brush is the helping with the direction of the waves. So that looks pretty dark with the blue. I'm going to let that one dry, and then I'm going to come across it with a little bit of a lighter colour on the ridges, and then once that's dry, a little bit of white. So I'll set that to the side to do a bit of drying. rinse off this brush. One thing I wanted to do was get, this is the little mast for the front, slots in there, gives it a bit more detail. I want to get an undercoat on that so that I can get the same sort of look. So we're gonna, this is the Mod Podge and black paint that I've got that I covered the whole ship with. Just enough to complete this boat, I think, before I needed to make some more. So this is just giving it the same look across everything and giving it something for my paints to stick to and give it the sort of, I use this thick cheap sort of plasticky brush. It's plastic fibers rather than like hair or anything. Just using that to give it, the Mod Podge, a little bit of texture. And if I stay away from that little edge bit, that's where it sort of slots in. So this is just a really covered undercoat. So once that dries, it'll look the same as the rest. Now, this is going to be tricky. Should have done this to start with. So that is just undercoated with the sealant. So that's gonna not work. It's just too slippery. Think quick. I don't have a peg. I've got these, but they're not going to work. Sort of don't want to put it here because that's where I need to work. Well, let's see what we can do. That's that undercoated. We've got the ship. I want to get a little bit more variation of colour on. It's looking pretty good at the moment. I'm wondering if I can maybe add a bit of colour to these lamps at the back. I've got an extra magnet. Oh wow, yeah, it sticks there. Extra magnet on there for the mast. Oh, I can work on the mast because it was sort of what I'd put between the magnets that I had in there seemed to just not be as strong, so it sort of loosened up and just fell over a bit more easily. So that an extra magnet in between it has just helped give it a bit of stability. I'm going to leave that there to do some drying while I work on maybe a little bit more colour on this. So what we got is, I've undercoated this. This is a plastic tube, so I got the undercoat on there, wrapped it with some string, and made this look like rope. So what I reckon I'll do with this one is add another coat of the wood, maybe on the rope, and I want to sort of try and make this crow's nest. Learned a bit of terminology again. Crow's nest still looks like the plastic cap, so it holds a little character, but it still looks sort of like a plastic cap. So just a bit more paint on there, I think, just to try and get that blue out of there. I reckon if we go for the black, get some more darker black on there. And then once it's dried the black, I can add some more sort of the burnt sienna, which is like the wood colour. So I'm just using the same brush. This came with a Game Master set that I'm going to go through at some point with just what came in it. It's a bunch of paints, bunch of foam crafting material. Yeah, it's better. And some tools to cut the foam, and obviously paint brushes, and some basing materials, so like little bits of sand and stone to build up the terrain to make it look like rock and gravel and stuff like that. So what I'm doing here is just going around this bottle cap that I've got for a crow's nest, because it still looked a bit too bottle cappy and a bit too much like plastic, so this just needed a bit more of an undercoat before I tried to make it look like wood, because the plastic, although I undercoated it with the sealant of black paint and Mod Podge, sort of still remained quite see-through. So I just need to really give it a good coating to make it look. I like the texture, like the grip of the cap looks quite cool as a feature, but it just, the colour still comes through as the blue milk bottle cap. So just get some black paint all through here just to really take that colour away and hide what it is. I think next time, obviously this isn't the first proper crafting alteration of a ship, so I think next time if I do a ship or anything, is try and disguise the bits you use from bottle caps and whatnot a bit more, so it's more of a blend of materials rather than it's obviously looking like a bottle cap or a piece of plastic. So I was happy with what this initially looked like. It just needs to be a bit darker, so to get rid of that look of plastic. So I'm just going to coat essentially the mast. These are the plasticky looking pieces. The rope looks really cool, and I'll do some more painting along the mast, the crossbeam. And I still need to think. I've made a little sail, so one's wound up and I glued it, so that's like the wound up sail as if the ship's in dock. And then I've got this other piece that I need to maybe shape a little bit more, but then somehow put some glue on there so it's a little bit bent and stiff, so it looks like a sail with wind in it, and work out maybe some magnets or metal here and magnets in the sail so I can swap them. So I was thinking of having the wound up one maybe attached with some magnets in it, and then the sail with wind in it essentially added to it to just give it a, rather than just a plain sail, it's got the fabric, actual mast. No, not the mast, the actual sail, so it looks like it's got wind blowing through the sail as it's going through the water as well. And you can swap it out, so it's either moving or sort of stopped. So I'm just covering these bits here with a darker black paint, just because they still looked quite plasticky. And then I'll come back at them with some brown sienna to make them look like the wooden mast again, and less plastic. So I'm just using the black paint to go over some bits that didn't quite get completely darkened when I did my undercoat. And just give it a bit more hidden materials, essentially. So I think what I'm learning with the painting is just layering it up, going over it again, fixing little mistakes, making it look different each time, but also like the top of it looks way better now because it's not that blue plastic cap, so it's going to add to the overall feel of it. The trick I'm finding is I need to make sure I've got places to dry these things. There we go. So we've still got the blue water drying. And we've still got this little mast here I put in drying. I'll just push that in so it stays there. So I've got the ship here. Just wondering, I was thinking about putting black underneath here, but I don't think I'm going to worry about that just at the moment. So we've got the wooden ship, so with the dark wood colour along the sides. It's sort of the toy plastic had a gold sort of trim that I'm going to try and, it's sort of kept anyway, but I'm going to enhance that. But I've also got these sides here at the top, so I'm just going to put some more black on here just to keep that line separate and nice and dark. Give the ship sort of a design so that whoever owns it's like decided that it's a nice dark black ship, or black rimmed ship essentially. Give it some crisp colouring and make it look sort of, I don't know, like proper, and the crew keep it nice and well maintained. I mean, the story of what this ship is will probably change every game you play with it for Dungeons and Dragons or whatever tabletop game you end up playing with it. But that's what it's for, like tabletop game. So I found, if you haven't watched some of my early ones, it's the plastic ship is I found from a tip store, and it's I think it's called Don't Tip the Boat game. So it had these bunch of little penguin pirates. I only found one of them, and a little pedestal, so you layer the boat up and whoever tips the boat loses, I suppose. But it works, it's the size of it works perfectly for the scale of D&D, which is 28 millimeter figures. So my little characters can be on it, sailing across the sea, or coming up against it and trying to take it over, or maybe there's some cargo it's carrying that is vital to your party, or they've been hired to stow away on board and take over the ship one evening, or when it's out at sea. Whatever your campaign or could be the home base of your party. Maybe you buy a ship and outfit it, give it extra things, more cannons, go after other pirates maybe. it gives me a ship to say I've got a ship. So I think I'm going to make a small fleet, but I've got some other ships I started making ages ago out of cardboard that I can maybe paint the same schemes, colour schemes, add to the board, or make a port. Make a port with a ship in dry dock maybe, so like it's being built on, like a centerpiece for a little town or something. But this one has been my project for this channel, and it is coming across very nicely, I think. So that back of the ship looks pretty awesome with the dark black. Nice crisp lines, and the colouring, even just with a little bit of the burnt sienna across the undercoat and the under plastic, that plastic colours come through, makes it look quite timbery, which is what I'm going for. It had the textures on it already, of the timber across the top. I've got I'm going to take some pictures of it tonight and put it on. I've got the Facebook Foam the Ground Up channel, but I'm going to see what other options I have on YouTube to put pictures and whatnot, because I think I'm just need to have a bit of a focus on how people view what I'm doing. YouTube at the moment is the platform I'm putting my videos on, but then I'm using Facebook as the group, and there's a little bit of a disconnect between who's viewing the group and getting my little updates there and who's watching the streams. So try and at least make it equal across both of them, and get some proper pictures of this, because the video is good, but the detail I think you're missing out when I'm describing, like the texture and stuff, can be captured I think a bit better with my phone camera, and get a little bit more visibility of what this is looking like, rather than just the top down that you're currently getting on the video. So all I've really added at the moment is this black, and it's looking way crisper and very well put together, if I say so myself. So, and what's cool is the paint that I'm using, I'm not watering it down, but I can just rub it off the plastic where I don't want it. Keep the lines nice and crisp. And I still to figure out what colouring I want this sort of statue to be. So the little statues that are on the front of ships, like mermaids or horses' head sort of statues, I picked a little dwarven miniature, Kings of War little dwarf, and currently he's not undercoated. I might actually just put this black paint, yeah, we'll just do this, undercoat him, and then work out what colour this statue's going to be, whether it's going to be like a bronze maybe. I think bronze might look pretty cool. Currently he's just, well, I don't really want him to make him wood because I mean there's so much timber on this ship already. I think it needs a little bit of something to pop out, a little bit more than just more timber. But what? So, one thing I might remember is if you're putting little details on like this, is paint them beforehand, so you're not having to touch up all the paint work around where he's standing. There we go. So he's sort of all painted black there at the moment, but I reckon maybe a bronze or a gold. There's a little bit of gold here. Silver or maybe an ivory, so it's like a carved ivory statue maybe. Probably not so great with the black undercoat, but I suppose a copper like would keep with the theme. Copper or bronze for a dwarven statue. Stone maybe, I could just paint it some grey. Have it like a stone, dwarven stone centerpiece. I'll have a think about that. But undercoated looks pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some pictures of what I've done with a phone camera that's pretty good and get it on my social media, Facebook for the channel, and also investigate just some more around the YouTube and what functions I've got to add it to the YouTube channel, because I haven't, like, I am a amateur movie maker with the movies I've got on YouTube at the moment, and obviously this is my very new to streaming live stream, so I don't know too much about what YouTube has to offer, so I just need to go offline and have a look through what I can add. I know there's some conversation stuff and chats that I can do on YouTube, and I'll also put a link to my Facebook channel for From the Ground Up, and try and get people on my Facebook who are getting some of the pictures that I've done to come and look at my YouTube and vice versa, so that I get the same sort of group looking at everything that I produce. So we want a bit of, so that's the black undercoat. Well, it's not even undercoat, to be honest. That black along the back of the ship looks pretty awesome. Just as like you can picture the like the ships of the line suppose everyone, quite a few people that watch Pirates of the Caribbean, those sort of the Black Pearl and the East India Company ships that are chasing them around and whatnot, they're like highly coloured, like yellows and golds, and they're pristine white sails, and that's the sort of ideas I've got in my head. So I think what I need to do, somehow get some paint on this. Actually, we'll try that now. So what do we reckon? What coloured sails? And I want that sort of somehow curved. If I paint it, it should stay that way. So if I rest it over something that I have, so I've got my sail that's bound up so there's no wind going through it, and then I've got my sail that has wind going through it, so you can picture the wind capturing it and blowing it. It's filled with wind and something. So let's see what colour. Let's get some white. Now these caps I've got are just off like Pringles type containers and honey pot containers, and they in my mind work really well as little paint trays, so that's what these are. Little paint trays. So we've got just plain white. Now I reckon if I water this down just a little bit, let's start with this one. So at the moment you can tell it's just bound up. I think it's just some packing material. That has a nice sort of texture to it. So I just cut a similar length to a full sail, and then tied it up and super glued the rope, the string, the rope that's holding it together. in my head is that the paint will just obviously colour it, but also just give it a bit of strength, stiffen it up. Make it look like salt parched sails. I mean, it's not an East India Company ship of the line, be as clean as possible ship. It's maybe like a well used pirate ship, or been out at sea for ages and they've kept it as clean as they can, but obviously you can only keep a ship clean so long. So that's the tied up one. I reckon if I get a couple of bits of metal or magnets in there, glue that one to the mast, and then this one is the this one is the one that's got the wind in it, and if I can, might need to find a different method for this. Maybe get some PVA glue or something actually, because that's just going not quite what I'm looking for. Get it maybe PVA with some white paint and really get it drenched, so then the glue will set. And I got that just as the shape, weigh it down on the corners so it glues and sets with the wind in its sail, and then maybe put the same glue PVA on the solid with some magnets in there, and hit it with some paint after, because that's not really working, it's just soaking up the white paint in small little bits rather than getting all over it. So we'll stop there on that one. We'll come at it with a different method. But that's given me some ideas. So soak this in PVA and white paint and really get it sort of wet, and then layer it over that to give it the shape, and then just weigh down the corners there so it's got wind in its sail essentially. Then that one I'll get some PVA onto it as well. That one, glue it to the mast. Yeah, that one, glue it to the mast with some magnets in it, and and some form of little piece of metal on here maybe, so that can magnet to that, which will sit on there and give it a wind with sail look to it. Sail with wind, sorry. And then you can have the mast with the sail up or sail with wind in it. Whenever you want to change it out, it's got magnets on it, so it just pops off. So that's the plan for that. So I need to find, I reckon I can fit the magnets in there, glue them, and then just some little bits of metal on there that just stick to that. So that's the idea for that. Now this is the water. It's looking more blue, but I'm really going to need to hit it with a really light. I think that's baby blue, so that's going to be the next one I go for, I think, because that was cobalt, which is quite dark. I think cyan won't be light enough to contrast, so I'm going to go straight to the baby blue, which should pop off this darker one, and then from that go to the white for the bubbles and wake the waves, the foamy bubbles coming up and off the back of a ship moving through the water. So this, once the water's done, will be done. I've got the front mast that I put the undercoat on that I'll paint up the same as this mast, so just some black and wood colouring. I've probably could put a little bit of string on it as well, just to make it look the same as this, and figure out the colour for the statue on the front, and also whether I'm putting a little bit of colour on the masts at the back. So I think what I'll do, I'll keep it, they're a little bit see-through at the moment, but that's alright. I think I'll do some yellow paint flecks on the essentially little lanterns on the back, and then that'll give it sort of like some lamps sitting on the back, and then we're almost done. Maybe a little bit of blue, or maybe a darker sort of orangey yellow on this back window, make it look like there's light coming out of it. So you got the lamps, the window, the mast, and the statue on the front, the water on the very base with the waves, and these masts. So we'll see how we go. The mast might be a very sticky mess, so I might do that and at least shape them and find the metal for them off stream, but maybe take some pictures of what I've done. But yeah, thank you for your time and watching and seeing where this craft goes, and I hope to be with you again shortly to get into these last couple of bits of painting and